Hello friends, welcome if you're new here, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise and this is my mystical bookshelf. And today I have for you a audiobook that I recently listened to, or finished listening to finally. It's called Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and it was read to me by Madeline Leslie. And let me start by saying this book was so cute. I loved it. It was really good. I started listening to it last year, but I have this tendency to start books and then just kind of stop them abruptly. And I totally stopped this book abruptly. And I was like, I don't remember why. I found it engaging. I thought it was really interesting. I feel like I usually like Regency books, because this book is sort of in the same vein as Bridgerton. It takes place in Regency, England in like the 1800s, something like that. And it deals with being in the courtship and society and trying to find a husband and stuff like that. But this book series, this is a book series, but this book series is different because it deals with magic too. It's really cute and interesting because it deals with fairies. So this is like Regency England with like a fairy tale twist, which I thought was really interesting. I had never heard of anything like that before, but it got recommended to me by Lexi, who is also a fellow booktuber on YouTube. And I love watching her videos, and she always recommends the best books. So I started listening to it on Audible because I love listening to audiobooks, especially when I'm working. It helps the time go by faster, I've noticed. And so I started listening to this book last year, but I stopped listening to it on Audible. And then I just remembered that I was reading it, and I was like, I should probably finish that. So I started listening to it again, and I really liked it. It's definitely a 5-star book in my opinion. So this book follows Theodora Etienne, and she goes by the nickname Dora. And she is very interesting because this is where the magic part comes in. She got cursed by a fairy when she was younger. So she only has, and this is going to sound really weird, but she only has half a soul. Which I was like, what? How do you have only half a soul? But I don't know the logistics of it, but that's how she lives her life. So with her having half of a soul, she's kind of has half of her emotions, which I thought was also really interesting. So she's kind of different, to say the least. She's the type of girl who she never gets emotional, ever, which is like mind-blowing, because I feel like in these books it's all about being emotional, especially for as a woman, being emotional too. So it's really interesting to see a character so reserved and unable to process big emotions. So for example, she never cries, which is something that I cannot relate to because I feel like I cry a lot. But so yeah, she doesn't really cry, and she doesn't really feel happy, or not in the conventional sense. She feels content most of the time, but not necessarily happy. And she doesn't really get angry, which is also interesting. She just doesn't feel any big emotions, which I thought was the most intriguing part of this book. So it kind of follows Dora as she goes through life with half a soul and half of her emotions. So I thought that was really cool. And another character in this book that she kind of navigates life with is her cousin. And her cousin is around her age, I think. And she is in society and looking for a husband. And she feels all of her emotions. And she has grown up with Dora, and she is trying to help Dora get like the rest of her soul back. I think that's her main, that's her cousin's main goal, is to get her soul back, to get all of her soul back. But this is a spoiler. She doesn't end up getting all of her soul back, unfortunately. But I don't know if that's a bad thing necessarily, because it was kind of Dora's choice in the end. But yeah, her main character arc is trying to live with having half of a soul, and her cousin having to reckon with not being able to give her cousin back the rest of her soul. And I keep saying Dora's cousin because at this present moment, I can't remember this girl's name. And it's really bothering me, but I know she's her cousin. I just can't remember her name. I feel like it's something really common for Regency England, but I really can't remember her name, and that's so sad. But yeah, so her cousin and Dora go through society together. They live together because Dora's mom and dad have passed away, and Dora doesn't really remember anything of her mom or her dad, and she doesn't really remember much of her childhood besides being cursed by this fairy. So they kind of go through society together, and they're best friends. Dora's cousin and her, they're best friends. So it's interesting to see their relationship because Dora compares her cousin to a brightly burning lamp, which I thought was very sweet. So Dora, even though she can't feel all her emotions, she's happy that her cousin can. And her cousin really loves her and is really supportive of Dora. Like I said, they're best friends. So it's nice that Dora has someone who can fully support her for being who she is, because I feel like Dora, in most of this book, is trying to just be herself and be accepted as someone, even though she only has half a soul. Because I feel like Dora has a hard time navigating society because she only has half a soul, and a lot of people don't really understand Dora, so she feels like an outsider. And even though Dora can't feel like conventional loneliness, you can tell that she's lonely, which I thought was sad. And so it's nice that her cousin treats her like a normal person, really. That's really what I thought was the sweetest part of this book, is that her cousin is constantly being supportive of Dora and constantly being like, oh, I love you, Dora. I love you just the way you are. I'm so happy you're my cousin, and I wouldn't want to be best friends with anyone else but you. And it's just really sweet. I really enjoyed that friendship part of the book. I really enjoy when the author has that one character that supports the main character, through everything. And another character that I really enjoyed was Elias Wilder, and he is the one who tries to help Dora get back her soul. He tries to help her break this fairy curse because he himself is a magician in this world. So he knows about fairy magic and he knows how to help Dora. So he tries to help her to the best of his ability, and this is sort of like a grumpy sunshine trope, even though I wouldn't necessarily consider Dora the traditional sunshine trope. She's definitely not grumpy like Elias. I feel like Elias in the beginning, he's super prickly, he's super stuck up and no, I'm so much better than everyone, and very snobbish. But I mean, on the inside though, when we get to know him, you find out that he's kind of lonely too, and that he feels like nobody really accepts him for who he is. And he's very reclusive in the book, and he doesn't really like hanging out with people. I feel like he kind of has a little bit of social anxiety, even though it's not explicitly said, because he doesn't like hanging out at balls. He doesn't like going and doing normal things that normal gentlemen of his age would be doing. And he ends up falling in love with Dora, which I also thought was really sweet. This romance was so cute. It was the best part of the book. It was a traditional, a traditional slow burn romance where they really got to know each other and they really get to help each other out. And even though Dora can't traditionally feel love like everyone else, towards the end of the book, she really does feel strongly about Elias. And it's really interesting to see that this is the strongest thing she feels, is like her love for Elias goes past her not having all of her soul. Like, even though she doesn't have all of her soul, she still feels really strongly towards Elias, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, in the end, she does not get her soul back. She does meet the other half of her soul, but she does not, like, get rejoined with her. So she meets her other half of her soul, like, towards the end of the book, which I thought was cool. And this half of Dora's soul, who Dora calls Theodora, so that she doesn't get herself confused, this half of Dora's soul feels everything. So the half that Dora does not have, Theodora is plagued by being overly emotional about everything. So she cannot, like, calm down in the conventional sense. She's always either crying, or she's always angry, or she's always feeling something very strongly. So, like, this part of Dora's soul literally cannot calm down. Like, she is a very volatile personality. So it's kind of like, it's just really weird to see both halves together, because they're not together, but they're separate people. So this half of Dora's soul belongs to the Faerie King that cursed her when she was a little girl. And she's like, I wish that I could not cry for once in my life. And Dora was like, wow, I can't cry at all. That's very interesting. So it's like both extremes of Dora's personality were just literally split in half. And like, I thought it was really interesting because I never read a book like that before. And I thought it was really cool how Olivia Atwater portrayed that, because I feel like that's a very unique idea to bring into the world. Is like splitting someone into two and having them be like one half completely stoic and not have any emotion or personality whatsoever, and then having the second half being completely volatile and too much emotion. And it's really interesting to see both halves of Dora meet. And it's like whenever Dora tries to feel something, her other half is the one that feels it and gets like really upset or really happy or really outraged. And Dora's like, I'm trying to feel that, but I can't feel it, but my other half can. So that was kind of cool to listen to and to see how that works. And so Dora ends up cutting ties with herself because they're like bound by this red thread, I guess. That's how Elias describes it in the book. So she cuts the thread, and she can never be reunited with herself at that point. So then she's like, I'm never going to be like a full soul person. And she asks Elias if that's okay. And Elias said that, I thought this was like the sweetest part of the book. He said that I fell in love with you for who you are, and I don't care if you don't have all your emotions. I love you, and I love all of you, or half of you in this case. And it's just really sweet how like Dora found someone who can accept her for who she is. And that's like the main part of the book, is just finding someone who loves you for who you are, even if you have some like weird flaws or some weird part of your personality that's kind of like other people would frown upon. But you find that person who accepts you for everything, and it's just really nice. And I really loved listening to it, and it's definitely one of my favorite romances that I've read. And it's just really cute. I like the companionship aspect of it, and I like that it ends on them getting married, but that's like the end of it. And they go off to live their life. And I think there's a second book and a third book, but I haven't had the chance to read those yet, but I definitely will, since I enjoyed the first book so much. But I just really liked how Olivia Atwater portrayed Dora and Elias and their relationship with one another. I thought it was really sweet, and their romance is definitely super cute. It's definitely a top tier romance in my opinion. And I would totally recommend this book if you love magic and fairies and you like romance. And you especially like Regency romance. So I think I would recommend this if you like Bridgerton, because if you like Bridgerton, I'm pretty sure you'll like this book. because it's kind of in the same vein, but it's just a little more whimsical because of the whole magic part. But yeah, so that was one of the books that I listened to recently, and I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to share my thoughts on it. So I thank you for watching. I appreciate all my subscribers, and thank you for all of you who support me and everything. And please, if you want to, please comment down below and tell me, have you read this book? Would you recommend it? What did you think about it? And what character was your favorite in the book? My favorite character was definitely Dora, but maybe you had a different favorite. So let me know what you think down below. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, friends!